Can't let you do that, Star Fox.
Ah, Star Fox. Admittedly, I have a soft spot for Miyamoto's Thunderbird-inspired space opera rail shooter. If you're as old as me, and my firmware was first built in 1962, then you might remember experiencing Star Fox for the first time on the Super Nintendo, on a 16-bit console at the time, using an FX chip co-developed by Argonaut Software. It stood out to me, alongside games like Donkey Kong Country and Killer Instinct, as an iconic and exciting time on the Super Nintendo for how amazing games looked and how great they could look in the near future. But aside from the history and its development, the characters, the iconic design of the R-Wing, and the captivating music is why I appreciate this franchise as much as I do Mario and Zelda. I am a big fan of the rail shooting genre, and I cannot imagine Smash Bros. Without a Star Fox inclusion. Although not one of Nintendo's most popular intellectual properties as of late with the big four Nintendo franchises, you simply cannot ignore unless you're living under a rock, that being Mario, Zelda, Pokemon, and Animal Crossing. But Miyamoto and Nintendo still seem to have a very special place in their hearts for Star Fox. Of course, they even took the time and love to include the character in the latest blockbuster animated Mario movie. So what better time to remind and reboot the franchise once again at the height and success of Nintendo and their amazing run in the latest gaming generation with Switch and Switch 2. Now I have to quickly go over the obvious: yes, this is a remake. But more precisely and technically, a third remake of the original Super Nintendo game. Star Fox 64 was a retelling and remake of the Super Nintendo game. Star Fox Zero was a remake and retelling mixed with Star Fox 2 ideas. And by the way, while you're here, I have a short video on how to play that on a low-end PC. Check that out. And here we are with Star Fox 2026 being a remake once again of the Nintendo 64 version. Phew, did you get all that? Okay then, let's strap in, enter turbo speed mode, do a barrel roll, and blast through the wormhole, because this is now the version of Star Fox to embrace.
What the heck?
Too bad, Fox. Maybe next time.
You're gaining on me! This guy won't leave me alone!
Fox, watch your back! Activate all range mode.
The visuals are obviously great. I wasn't a fan of the character models at first, after how great they looked in Star Fox Zero, but the semi-puppet look, inspired by the original Super Nintendo cover art with a modern polish, grew on me and looks fantastic here. I was first impressed when I picked up my Switch 2 with how great Mario Kart World looked. Then, in some parts, Donkey Kong Bonanza looked impressive, as well as Metroid Prime 4. And now, I can honestly say, this is currently the most visually impressive first-party Nintendo game so far on Switch 2, and it is very exciting to see what the future holds for upcoming games on this hardware. Velan Studios has done a great job here. The levels are nice and detailed, the water effects are brilliant, the explosions, character models and lighting all impress. And the whole thing runs at a smooth 60 frames per second, including in handheld mode, which for a game this visually detailed is a genuinely impressive technical achievement. Although the bomb weapon explosion is not quite as explosive and fiery as I would like it to be, but that is a minor gripe. And while I still love the visual style of Platinum Games' Star Fox Zero, it is still amazing to see Star Fox 64 remade in this level of high fidelity.
Never give up! Trust your instincts!
I started my first playthrough using my Switch Nintendo 64 controller, as I wanted to feel that nostalgia right off the bat. And although I enjoyed that old school feeling for a while, the issue for me was preferring to have my shooting button mapped to a trigger, which unfortunately you cannot do on the Nintendo 64 controller. So I switched to my Pro controller on my second playthrough. And yes, if you're familiar with Star Fox mainline games, there will be many instances and chances where you will need to do multiple playthroughs. Different playthroughs of stages, depending on what hidden objectives you complete in each level, will take you to a whole new stage and a different path to the final boss. I did also try the mouse controls, but only in training mode, as the game prompts and guides you through how the Joy-Con 2 controls work. And I honestly was not a fan of it, or just could not get used to it. You use the right Joy-Con as a mouse to aim and shoot, while holding the left Joy-Con to move your ship. It may work better at a desk setup, but on the couch or in your gaming chair, it will probably not feel like an ideal experience. As for the other core elements, it's Star Fox 64 remade. Not much has changed gameplay-wise. And while it was speculated there would be an additional stage featuring James McCloud, Fox McCloud's father, it turned out to be just a cutscene that Nintendo had already shown publicly. Oh well. There are, however, some additional features. Challenge mode presents players with specific objective-based missions across stages, such as completing levels under a time limit, finishing without taking damage, or hitting specific targets. Completing challenges unlocks rewards, including cosmetics and additional content. And then there is the online mode. This is the first Star Fox game with a robust online multiplayer experience. You can customize your banner and call sign, and unlock more customizations as you play both in single player and online, much like Call of Duty and Tekken do with their progression systems. Online includes several multiplayer modes, including team dogfights, capture the flag, and free-for-all battles. At first I wasn't quite sold on it, but after a couple of matchups and exploring the different modes, I warmed up to it and had a lot of fun. It's nothing mind-blowing, but it is a very nice addition. I should note, however, there is no local split-screen battle mode like the Nintendo 64 version had. Check out this clip of me playing a dogfight, and capture the flag match my favorite mode, winning the game for my team in the final seconds. Lastly, there is a camera feature that makes use of the Switch 2 hardware. If you have a USB camera, the game can track your face and display one of the game's characters as your avatar. All main characters are available, with more unlockable through challenges and progression. Now, I did try this with an unofficial USB camera, and I could not get it to work. Which is strange, because it works just fine with Mario Party Jamboree, and tested fine in the Switch 2 settings too. So I'm not entirely sure what was going on there. Hopefully it's something that can be patched in a future update, unless you do indeed need the official Switch 2 camera for it to work properly. Ouch. Now let's talk about the sound design and soundtrack, because this is Star Fox, and if there's one thing this franchise has always delivered on, it's the music.
Playtime is over, Star Fox.
The original Star Fox 64 soundtrack, composed by Koji Kondo and Hajime Wakai, is already iconic. And what Nintendo have done here is take those beloved themes and given them a full orchestral remix treatment, and it sounds absolutely brilliant. The main theme hits with that same rush of nostalgia, but feels grander, more cinematic, and more alive than ever before. It's the kind of soundtrack that reminds you why you fell in love with this franchise in the first place. The sound design across the board is equally satisfying. The punch of enemy ships exploding around you, the crisp snap of your laser cannons firing, the deep roar of the R-Wing engine as you pull through a barrel roll. it all feels weighty and responsive. Every explosion, every hit, every near miss has a satisfying audio kick behind it that just makes the game feel tremendous to play. Now, the voice acting. Look, nothing, and I mean nothing, will ever be as iconic as the Nintendo 64 voice cast. Those lines are burned into an entire generation's memory forever. They are untouchable. But to be fair, the voice cast here does a pretty decent job. They capture the spirit of the characters well enough, and it never feels jarring or out of place. It's just not the 64 cast. And that's not really a criticism, that's just an impossible standard to live up to. Well, once again, we have saved the Lylat system. And although I have seen this story and how it plays out time and time again, I really did enjoy this version of the game. I wish they could have added more backstory for James McCloud, and I hope this game's success will encourage that side of the lore to be explored further down the line. I will say, in my personal opinion, Star Fox Zero is still the better game for having more in-your-face, flashy action and stylistic moments, albeit the controls let it down somewhat. But that is just my personal favourite.
Do a barrel roll!